There was no fixing what I had done. She looked up at me, at the source of the muttering above her. Her eyes were opened almost frighteningly wide, and they wandered aimlessly, unfocused to the point I wasn't sure she was seeing anything at all. I felt a tinge of madness in her.
You got cut off there, I think. No, I think it's just that you're really quiet right now. Wait, CJ, do a mic test. Like, just talk normally. Turn off your gain. You're just really quiet right now.
Yeah, you're kind of quiet.
I don't really have that option. I put the Yeti Nano.
What was that?
Yeti Nano, so.
She doesn't really have like a gain option, but what you can do is if you've ever have you gone into like your computer settings and adjusted like your microphone or output levels?
Just turn up the sensitivity.
There, that might work.
Is that you?
The words spilled from her lips, so soft they barely reached my ears. Hardly a trace of the beautiful singing voice from my memory remained. It was hoarse and raspy, every sound seemingly laced with an unfathomably deep, pitch-black hatred for all existence. You remember me? Would she even be able to recognize me anymore? Morgana. She remembered me. The days we spent together. What kind of person I had been. The boy who had refused to give up putting ointment on her face. All our friends. Those horribly unromantic encounters at the graveyard. Her taking shots at me taking shots at her. Did she really remember? All the time we had shared.
How could I ever forget? All the pain.
It's still really quiet, CJ. Any settings you can change?
Like I changed it to what you wanted it to. See what else can fix. Everything's turned up all the way.
What was that?
Everything's turned up all the way. Let me try. Did it sound a bit better?
It actually sounds the same, unfortunately. Oh, your microphone cracked there.
humiliation you put me through.
What?
How can I ever forget the blood sabbaths you loved to hold?
What was she talking about?
Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood?
I couldn't even begin to process the words I was hearing. They were little more than angry, meaningless shouts crashing into me. What the hell was she saying? Did she think I was someone else? Did she think I was him? That I was Barnier? No, Morgana. That wasn't me. I wasn't the man who had caused you so much agony.
You're the man who cut me up, who bound me, called me a witch, and tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you, even for a moment.
No, I was the man who rescued you from him, I wanted to shout. But I couldn't gather the strength to force up a single word. Only gasps of air came from my lips. It was like I had been robbed of my voice.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. I despise you with all my soul. I revile you in every fiber of my being. Every scar you gave me. Give you a lifetime of hatred.
No, Morgana! When I finally managed to produce a sound, it was barely more audible than a whisper. In a frenzy, I made to reach out for her. When I noticed the pair of narrow eyes glaring at me.
I was not aware you knew of the Witch Lord.
Huh? Know her? I don't just know her. She's Morgana. She's the girl
This man, Lord, destroyed me, mind and body.
No. That was another man.
You have become that man
I am not Barnier.
Do you hear yourself, boy? You're the rightful heir to the Barnier name, I'm not. That's what you said when you stole the throne from me.
This man ruined my life.
How will you respond, boy? Will you say it wasn't you? Can you say it wasn't you? How will you convince her?
Sorry, the stream's really lagging. Well, no, it's not. It's probably me. Sorry, hang on.
She's clearly not in her right mind. Would she even understand if you revealed the truth? Can you do that, knowing it won't make it through to her? Will you tell her you're nothing more than a slum rat and usurper? That you deceive your way to power? That everything you built up over these years was all a lie? That you killed your former friends for nothing? That Udalon died for nothing? That you endured betrayal after betrayal for nothing? Do you have the spine to say, boy? All the sacrifices you made, all the pain you suffered to make it, could all come crumbling down the moment you choose. What will it be, false lord? Is the girl worth it? Is sharing the truth with this half-dead girl a brink of madness? Worth losing everything you worked so hard to accomplish? Make your choice.
What's the matter, Lord?
Yes, I know her. Or I knew her years ago.
I see. What do you want to do then, Lord? You look sick.
What do I want to do? Obviously. Why? On Earth. This doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned. Did I make this choice?
Congratulations, boy! Thus concludes your inheritance of the name Lord Barnier.
Morgana.
Wasn't until I realized I lost everything I truly understood just how blessed I had been. much my time with them had allayed my wounded spirit. How hard they'd worked to mold me into an ordinary girl. That was all gone now. I may not have said as much, but I liked it there. I was quite fond of the tranquility. Didn't want to lose it. I wanted to be happy as much as anyone else. I've long lost track of how far I'd walked. My legs were stiff, and my knees didn't want to bend anymore. It took all my effort to remain upright. I was certain I would never get back up if I did fall down. Still, I couldn't wrap my mind around what had happened. It was all so sudden, so horribly senseless. It was so mind-bogglingly horrendous. Part of me refused to believe it was anything more than a bad dream. What was keeping me walking? Because if I did accept it as reality, I would lose what remained of my will to live. It was supposed to be a party. Girls got together to celebrate my birthday. Making food and treats. Well, hardly extravagant. Still a significant improvement over what we usually had. Everyone was laughing. But me was irritated by the whole affair, as I had never been comfortable in such a lively environment. We're celebrating me. Birthday. Should have been overjoyed. Maybe this was my punishment for being so unappreciative. As soon as I stepped out, bandits raided the brothel. If I'd stayed there but a few minutes longer, this likely would have turned out quite differently. For better or for worse, I couldn't even begin to guess. At the very least, I probably wouldn't be here alone. I could have gone with them. The next life. During the raid, a man grabbed me, and I lost consciousness almost immediately after. I awoke. I was in a foul-smelling carriage. People were packed into the carriage like livestock. There were dozens of them, every inch of usable space filled with a body. Looking out across the cramped space, I knew instinctively I was on my way to becoming a slave. Once I had been sold off as a saint, a highly valuable commodity. This time around, it was cheap, expendable labor. I was filled with an overwhelming emptiness as the realization struck. Something resembling sorrow wavered about in the void as well. It wasn't a sadness for my own predicament. It broke my heart knowing I would never see them again. Everyone I had to thank for all those warm, peaceful days had either been killed or sold off. In time, sadness swelled to form tears in my eyes. My whole life I'd managed to endure without crying. The first time I did, I shed tears for someone else. The man sitting next to me asked, "Are you crying?" To which I answered, "I'm sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people who were very dear to me. If that had been the end of our conversation, I wouldn't be here, hobbling down this endless road alone. I wouldn't be covered in so much blood." Sometime after I had responded, a man suddenly stood up and murdered their guards and slave traders. First, their slaves thought they were saved. For a moment, I believed so too. He was a very curious-looking man. His eyes smaller and narrower than ours, nose a different shape. I'd never seen anyone who looked like him before. All I knew was that he wasn't from around here. The man, wielding a sword stolen from a guard, searched through the slave trader's clothes for the keys to her shackles. He gave to me and made me free his hands, before proceeding to kill the slaves. I stood aghast at the massacre unfolded before me. Blood pooled at my feet. Severed limbs were strewn about the carriage. Bodies piled up haphazardly, me having only enough time for their eyes to go wide in shock before being cut down. Men, women, children, everyone equals at the ends of his blade. The strange-looking man laughed as he slaughtered the slaves. He laughed and he laughed. He was having the time of his life. When he was done, he stepped out of the carriage and wandered off, leaving me alone, sole survivor. I witnessed so much death in so short a time. Cruel, meaningless violence. Victims powerless to resist. Here I stood among the bodies, left alive. Some inexplicable reason, left alive. Screams, the despair, pleas, the death, laughter, reverberating inside my head. Father, who art in heaven, please give me your mercy. I cannot take it anymore. I pray, free me from this pain. Spirit was about at its breaking point. I was certain that I too would sink into the bottomless abyss. If I'd kept all these emotions inside me much longer, I walked and walked and walked and walked. No food, no water. Exhaustion at its peak, my mind in a complete haze. And off in the distance, I caught sight of a lake. So thirsty. Water. Began hobbling in the general direction of the lake, caring that it took me off the main road. Bandits could have assailed me. Wild animals made me their prey. None of that mattered to me anymore. At least, and I wouldn't have to walk anymore. For better or worse, I made it to the lake, molested. The water was clear as crystal, and seemed to sparkle like one as well. As soon as it was within reach, I dropped to my knees and drank, thirst seemingly insatiable. Blood covering me had dried several days earlier. Its bitter stench lingered. So after a brief glance about my surroundings, I washed myself. The chill of the midwinter lake water, an occasional gust of wind, pierced me to my very bones. No one in their right mind would bathe in this weather. Common sense and the chattering of my teeth didn't stop me. I wanted only to be clean again. The frigid water felt like it would strip everything away, leaving my body and spirit new and unsullied. Once I was satisfied, I came to the belated realization that a small cottage sat on the lakeside. Smoke coming from the chimney. Maybe someone inside. Could it be someone bad though? Maybe it'd be safer to stay away. But who knows when I might find someone else. Excuse me? Is anyone there? Hello? Door's unlocked. It was so warm inside. Heat from the fire seeped into my chilled flesh, spreading slowly. I almost burst into tears again. Sitting before the fireplace was an old woman. A cauldron hung above the flames, bubbling with a curious colored liquid. Ma'am? The woman merely sat there, head drooped. Slowly, I approached her, half certain of what I would find. I placed my hand on her shoulder. She was dead. I hardly so much as batted an eye at the sight of yet another corpse. In fact, she looked like she had passed quite peacefully by comparison. How blessed she was. There's no sign bandits had been rooting through the cottage. Presumably, she'd fallen asleep and passed away naturally, in the middle of concocting something. Looking around the room, I found myself surrounded by countless items I couldn't begin to identify. Plants of all colors hanging from the ceiling to dry. Berries crushed and stored in small glass bottles. Were I to guess, the woman made her living off of herbal medicines. Having gotten a good look around the room, I thought that perhaps I'd been guided here. If my father had led me to this place, he would not frown upon me for doing what was necessary to make use of it. So I dragged the old woman's corpse from the cottage and pushed it into the lake. If I didn't take up residence in the cottage, someone else eventually would. Or just be left to deteriorate. I would rather take the opportunity bestowed upon me to have a place to rest my weary soul. As the woman's body sank into the clear lake, realization struck me. I hadn't crossed myself. A few days after I moved into the cottage, a man came to the door. Apparently, he had been a customer of the woman's, a witch by trade, He was looking for more medicine. I spoke to him through the door. He gave a short gasp and said,
Frank. Frank?
Who are you? Where's the witch?
I am her granddaughter. She's not presently home.
Ah, never knew the old lady had kids. So, when's she gonna be back?
Not for some time.
Well, damn. You know much about herbs, girl? As long as I can get my medicine, I don't really care who supplies it. You, her, doesn't matter. I'll still pay.
One moment, please. My knowledge of herbology was essentially non-existent. If there was a possibility I could make a living off of it, there's no reason for me not to try. Is the man to give me as much information about the herbs he had been receiving? Color, texture, smell, anything. I rummaged about until I found what fit the description. The entire exchange occurred through the barely cracked door. The man paid me as promised. I quickly realized the money wasn't going to be much use to me. I had no intention of returning to the city. I told them in the future I would trade for supplies, which he happily agreed to. A few days later, another man called upon the cottage. Unlike the first man, he sounded crude and uncivilized. I didn't want to cut off a potential source of supplies, though, so I handed him the medicine he requested. When I did, he uttered a low snicker and said,
Justin?
Oh, okay. What do you say? I look after you, girlie.
then shoved his hand through the crack in the door and grabbed my wrist.
You ain't fooling me. The hag's date, dead, ain't it? It's just you, ain't it? A girl like you needs someone to look after. Make sure no bad man threaten you.
Every word that came from his mouth oozed with sleaze. I knew what would happen if he got the door open. I'd go!
Whoa.
Yanked my arm back with all my strength, slammed the door shut and set the bar. Even that wasn't enough to quell my uneasiness. I put a chair against it as well. Man pounded on the door, each slam of his fist causing the whole room to vibrate.
Overreact much, huh, girlie? Come on, open up. I still ain't paid yet. I brought something real nice too. Open up, I want you to have it.
I don't need your payment. I'm never doing business with you again. So please, get off my property!
Wanna say that again? You got a lot of nerve, eh, you little bitch? Open the damn door. You don't know you don't know what you gotta find if it don't happen. If you don't. You got a lot more for sale than just a bag of leaves, don't you? I'm being nice. Open the fucking door.
Stay quiet, Morgana. Best way to handle people. I'm sorry. I'm so not to laugh. Stay quiet, Morgana. Best way to handle people like him is to just not respond.
Good for nothing, you. One day, you'll learn your lesson. This world will eat a little girl like you right up.
After giving the door one final parting kick, the man stormed off, loudly grumbling about how stupid and ungrateful I was all the while. I didn't deserve a word of his cursing. But at the same time, I couldn't bring myself to be upset about it. He was right. The world would not be kind to a young girl living on her own. Not so long as men like him roamed free. Paced before the fireplace, my mind racing. I can't be sure if I'm safe anywhere, not even here. Going back to the city isn't an option. Not while the Lord lives to keep throwing his blood sabbats. Everyone who might have protected me is gone. I have to make him my own now. I'll have to be very careful about opening the door. I could be attacked again, or worse. I mean, most men would probably run as soon as they saw my face. Most doesn't mean all. There's some out there who will even go after anyone. Can't let my guard down while I'm doing business, not even for a second. Man or woman, everyone is a potential threat. Make it on my own. Don't need anyone else. Me and only me. Being out here has really shown me just how sheltered I was at the brothel. How kind everyone was. Peaceful my life was. I just want to go back. No, stop it, Morgana. You're stronger than that. Put enough wood on the fire for it to last the whole night, then curled up into a ball and slept beside it. The first time in my life. Solitude frightened me.
James.
Morgana? What? Were you planning to sleep all day? Come on. You're not cheering.
Huh?
About time. Good morning. What little of it remains, anyway. What's with that look? Still waking up?
What are you doing here?
Excuse me? Why would I not be here?
Doesn't answer my question. How did you even...
A little bird told me where to find you.
So you survived?
Do I look dead to you?
No, but... Still, you... Thought you were killed during the raid.
I may not be as good with a sword as someone, but you know I'm no pushover. I wasn't going to let a bunch of bandits get the best of me. What, were you worried? Seriously? And here I thought all you knew how to do was damn me to the fires of hell.
Was I worried? Of course I was, you oblivious dolt! I never actually meant it when I said you should be cast into hell. Of course I want to stay alive! Of course! It would hurt me to lose you!
I'm sorry. That was callous of me.
I was afraid I would never see you again. I thought I had lost everything. Everyone! I was scared to death!
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No need to cry. You're tougher than that.
Not crying!
If you say so.
And what do you mean I'm tougher than that? Do you think I am made of stone? First you try to pretend I'm a normal girl, and now you act like I'm some kind of heartless creature. Make up your mind already!
I'm sorry, really. You're a perfectly ordinary girl, Morgana.
You say that looking at my face.
I'm looking at it right now.
Even though I'm a mean-spirited, bitter little girl.
Even though you're a mean-spirited, bitter little girl. Though it's nice you acknowledge it.
I'll burn in hell. Say, I want to ask you something. I want you to call me weak for it this time.
Let's hear it.
Will you stay with me?
Oh,
Don't want to be alone anymore. It terrifies me.
yeah, absolutely. I'll stay right here forever.
No, you won't be able to accomplish your dreams out here. Right? You're fine with that?
You bet. You told me to stay, and stay I will. We live right on a lake, and there's some mountains nearby. All things considered, it's not a bad location. We can plant some crops, and go fishing in the lake, sprawl out on the grass under the starry sky. Sounds like a pretty good life to me. And maybe sometimes you could sing a little song. And I'll sit there listening quietly. Or if you want some accompaniment, I can procure some instruments. That sound as nice to you as it does to me? Nothing. Seriously? What else could you want? How about...
No. It's more than enough. Yes, if I could have a life like that, I will have made every misfortune in my life worth suffering. He's not here. It was a dream. What else could it have been? Dead. It's like everyone else. They all died in the raid. Even if he was alive, he wouldn't come looking for me. A childish dream. Why did Morgana cannot cry over a simple dream? You're the daughter of God. Tears are only to be shed. Or there's blood. Help. I pounded my fists against the floor, again and again and again, sobbing like a petulant child. I never cried like this before. Not as I witnessed men, women, and children being slaughtered. When I was taken from my home, not when I was chained up and tortured by the Lord. It wasn't until I realized just how much I needed that warmth that I would never have it again. that my spirit hit rock bottom. Finding and then losing happiness are worse than anything else. I wish I'd never known happiness. I wish no one had ever shown me kindness. Not if it means I have to go through this. I wish I'd never known what it was like to be normal. I could have just stayed the daughter of God my whole life. And I wouldn't be. Then I wouldn't be feeling like this. I never knew crying like that. So exhausting. And I never want to experience it again. I want to go back to who I used to be. Saint. If I didn't know happiness, I wouldn't have to feel like this. I just have to forget it all. Part of my life never happened. Peace, no rest, only trials from my father. It's all I've ever known. It's not hard. Just don't think about those years. Then you won't have to cry like this ever again. It's for the best. It's my only choice. See, I was always right. I never was, and never will be normal. Only ones who will offer me salvation. God, or one of his angels. So I did precisely that. I led a solitary life. Did all my business hidden behind the cottage door. And I was sent away anyone who wasn't here for medicine. Once, a mounted man in armor rode up to the cottage. Looked like a knight. I had no interest in getting involved with anyone who went around carrying weapons. I was responsible for my own safety, so I had to be careful about who I opened up my door to. I had to be extra careful about who I dealt with. But I didn't feel sad or lonely about it. And making that my normal, there was nothing to lament. Which meant old memories served no purpose but to cause me pain. So I endeavored to push them far, far away into the depths of my mind. I couldn't simply discard my memories of what the Lord has done to me, of course, or of all the wonderful people I'd met at the brothel. As time trekked on, they faded into almost nothing. I couldn't describe what any one person's voice sounded like, how they acted around me, what kind of person they were. Things we did together, what they looked like, what their name was, anything of importance. I knew good and well it was callous to forget about all the people who had shown me so much kindness and warmth. I would never see them again. Thinking about them only brought me pain, so there's no point in remembering. It was all I could do to make it by. Nearly 4 years had passed since I'd assumed the role of the Lakeside Witch. 16th birthday was approaching. My age was perhaps the only thing I had in common with an ordinary teenage girl. Though if I had grown up like any other girl, I spent my childhood as a saint before being held captive by the Lord, made to witness countless people's deaths. It probably mean there was something deeply wrong with me. At that point, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I built high walls around myself, keeping my contact with the outside world as terse and pragmatic as possible. Each passing day, my voice grew more monotonous, my reactions following a well-rehearsed script. Customers didn't make any attempt to force their way into my shell either. I began to suspect they might think me not a witch by trade, that I had actually formed a pact with the devil and worked his dark magic. No one said as much, but I could sense what seemed to be fear in their voices when they came to me. On the other hand, I never had anyone else try to force themselves into the college like the man 4 years earlier, but I would say I had a rather peaceful life. If you consider a life in which no one wanted anything to do with you peaceful, that is. I'd also come to learn a fair bit about herbology. I could now make my own medicines, rather than just making do with what was already here when I moved in. Though a fair bit still amounted to almost nothing when compared to what my predecessor was capable of. Nonetheless, I had a relatively solid grasp on what herbs to use to treat different symptoms. I have to formally assume the name of the Lakeside Witch, at least. So, time flowed on, eventful and quiet. Till one day, when a young man showed up at my door.
Noah.
Excuse me? Is anyone home?
An English accent, please.
Oh, sorry, can you say that again?
Use the English accent.
Yes, okay. Excuse me, is anyone home?
I knew right away that he was a new customer. One who had been with me before had bothered with such pleasantries anymore. I wanted the process to be quick and frictionless. I preferred it that way as well. Who's there? I responded from behind the door, seemed to be taken aback. After several moments with no answer, I tensed up slightly and repeated the question.
My sister has fallen very ill and she desperately needs medicine.
He has a very pretty voice.
I was told that the person who lives here is a skilled herbalist. Ooh, it's frozen for me. Oh, okay. Could I please get something to treat her?
What are her symptoms?
She's got an extremely high fever that won't come down. She has no appetite. She's only drinking water. and she can't get out of bed.
Everyone always seems to be looking for medicine for themselves. I haven't had a customer like him in some time now. I'm going to want to lower her fever first. After that, put her on a nutritious diet. I'm going to give you 2 medications. Give her the first while her fever's high, the second after it's calmed down.
Thank you very much.
When was the last time someone thanked me? Here's your medicine. It's powdered, so mix it with some water and have your sister drink it.
Are you not going to open the door any wider?
Is that necessary?
No, sorry. Just a second, let me get you your money.
I take supplies for my services, not money.
Oh, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. This is all I have on me today. Would you maybe be willing to accept this as payment today?
Very well. Is that a gold coin? Those herbs aren't worth nearly this much. So who is this man? What on earth is he doing here at a witch's cottage? In any other situation, I wouldn't have even been tempted to look. What if he saw me? Would think me disgusting, ridicule me like everyone else. It didn't hurt knowing what people thought of me, but it was hardly pleasant hearing it vocalized either. What if he decided to do something in the moment I dropped my guard? I could force the door open and have his way with me. He doesn't seem like that kind of man, though. Trust was about the farthest thing from my mind when interacting with people these days. I always remained on high alert, keeping a safe distance from everyone, no matter how good they appeared on the surface. But for some reason, I felt strangely comfortable in this man's presence. At the time, I couldn't have explained why. In retrospect, I imagine it was largely a result of his upbringing. He spoke in a clear, well-enunciated voice. He had a polite, friendly air about him that I could feel through the door. It wasn't the sort of well-mannered you could fake with a bit of practice, or the sort you encountered out in the middle of nowhere. Curiosity took hold of me. I had to know what he looked like. I wasn't going to throw the door open, of course. I had no intention of inviting him in either. I just wanted to get a little peek at him through the crack in the door. So I opened it ever so slightly wider than usual. I reached out to take up his payment. No, it's all me.
Oh, I didn't think you would be so young. I'd guessed you were a little older. Thank you for doing business with me. And I'm sorry for not coming properly prepared. If I need any more, I'll be sure to bring supplies next time.
All right.
Again, I really appreciate it. Have a nice day.
You too. He saw my face. He wasn't disgusted. He actually smiled. I was so caught off guard. Thought for a second that maybe my face had healed. So I ran over to the water basin, a glimmer of hope in my heart. Gazed in at my reflection. The face looking back at me was the same as always. Grotesque, unsightly, patchy mess. Part of me was disappointed. More than anything, I was flabbergasted by what had just happened. Could he smile at the sight of this face? A split second, my mind had slipped back in time 4 years. The man who had applied to my face never seemed disturbed by my appearance either. Not long afterward, the young man called upon my cottage again. He said that the medicine had briefly relieved his sister's symptoms, but that it had failed to actually cure what ailed her. Well, medicine required patience and persistence before its effects manifested. I informed him, to which he responded with a sad smile. He was a handsome young man, far from what I imagined from his voice. The smile suited him quite well. There's a distant elegance emanating from him. Ragged clothing aside, it's about how I envisioned a fairy tale prince might look. I knew quite well only those existed in fiction. The nobles were terrible, miserable, reprehensible people. After a few visits, we started having little conversations outside of our business transactions. He told me his name, Mell, as well as his sister's, Nellie. I told him mine. Mell was 17, only a year older than me. One day, he invited me outside for a walk.
It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. We've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say to taking a little walk around the shoreline?
I was going to turn him down. My mouth seemed to disagree with my mind. Next thing I knew, taking a walk with someone for the first time in years. Although with might be something of a stretch, I kept a safe distance from him as we walked. Mell seemed disappointed with my unwillingness to get any closer. I couldn't bring myself to trust him that much yet. Nonetheless, it was a momentous enough occasion, and I felt justified describing it as such. I'm sure I made him uncomfortable on numerous occasions during our walks. To say I acted disagreeably would be an understatement. Every time he closed the gap between us, I stepped a little farther away. Every response I gave was curt. I repeatedly shot him down whenever he started getting wistful or sentimental. Morgana of 4 years prior might have been a little softer with him, a little more human. Maybe should have given him a little smile or pout instead. That girl was long gone. I despised the humanity that once started taking root in me. And I endeavored to be something different again. In one instance, you heard a robin chirping and said, "If I had wings like a bird, maybe I could be free too." Which I responded, "There's not a single creature living on this world that is free." It's regularly get shot down by hunters, preyed on by larger birds. The idea that they are free is nothing more than man's short-sighted delusion.
Sorry, I guess.
No, you should be apologizing. I wasn't trying to attack you. Simply lack the ability to properly empathize with others. I do not understand people. So please, say anything that upsets you or makes you uncomfortable. I would assume that was my intention.
Sure. Maybe you're hiding it, or maybe you just don't know it yet. But I think you've got more empathy than you're letting on. Surely you can't say nothing affects you at all. You are human.
At one point, that was true. Oh, it was perhaps somewhat difficult for others to see. I felt great beauty in the world when I knelt before the gravestones. Such sentiments have long been since lost to me.
So you don't have to be so closed off. I might not be able to do much for you, but I do want to get to know you better. I want to understand you. So if you ever feel like talking about yourself, just know that you've got an eager pair of ears right here. Okay?
If there were ever someone who could understand me, if there were ever someone who could understand what I am now, who could empathize with me, who had been through trials as great as mine, would not be human.
What do you mean?
You need to be far removed from any idea of humanity to have a chance at understanding me. Regardless, to appreciate your kind words.
Sure. So, out of curiosity, do you have anyone, really important to you in your life?
Not at the moment.
Does that mean you used to? I'd love to hear about them, if you don't mind.
They're all long dead. "4 years ago, something unpleasant occurred. And as a result of that, was forced to part ways with the people who had taught me that humans have a capability for kindness.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well then, if your sister's condition worsens again, come see me. Farewell.
Hey, maybe we could walk a little slower next time, so we have more time to talk. I want to get to know you better.
I'll consider it.
All right.
So long.
Bye. See you soon.
I was conscious about how cold and distant I was being toward him, but I had no interest in changing anything that I even knew how to anymore. I've never known particularly well how to choose the right words, the proper way to act in various circumstances, but what little knowledge I had possessed, I'd long since lost. I assumed, after the things I'd said to him, he would never ask me on another walk again. That was wrong. I did the very next time he came for medicine, and every time after that as well.
Hey, so I was thinking, I bet you'd make a really good singer if you wanted.
A singer?
Yeah. You've got this really pretty voice. I think it'd be nice if you tried using it to sing. I'm sorry. It's not my place to tell you what to do. You hardly talk. Why would I think you'd want to sing?
Glad we're on the same page. Never again.
Sorry about that. Really. Anyway, I wonder who first came up with the idea to sing. You can brighten someone's day or sour their mood with just the sound of your voice. Kinda amazing, don't you think? It's almost like magic. Oh, and there are battle songs too, for getting soldiers fired up for combat.
Battle. There's a word I never expected to hear from you.
I mean, I am a guy. I admire anyone who has the strength to go to battle. I could never, ever do it myself, though. The sight of blood makes me sick, and I barely know which end of a sword you're supposed to grab.
You're a noble, aren't you? What need do you have for knowing how to use a sword?
That's what I used to think, too. But now I think I should have gotten training. I may not have been a soldier, but I needed to be strong. Could have avoided so much if I was. And Nellie wouldn't have to live in a rundown shack in the middle of nowhere.
As I recall, he said once that he was forced from his house after a dispute over who the rightful heir was. I high society sounds like endless fun.
I'm sorry. I'm sure you don't care about any of this.
No, you're fine. I'm the one who asked.
Thanks. I want you to know, I really do appreciate it. It's nice to just be able to talk about this stuff to someone.
You're naturally sociable. I'm sure you could find plenty of other people willing to listen.
I don't get into town much, not even to run errands, so I'm still kind of an outsider. You're my only friend right now. I hope that wasn't too presumptuous of me.
Call me whatever you like.
Oh, thank goodness. We should do this more often, really. Talk more, get to know each other better, become better friends.
To what end?
No end, just, you know, having friends is better than being alone. That's all.
I see. I'll be heading back in now. See you again.
Yeah. See you soon, Morgana.
Little by little, his words are getting closer to reaching the old me. Not enough to provoke an actual response, of course. But that wasn't his fault. I'd locked myself up too deeply. I no longer knew how to express emotions, most especially those that resulted from human warmth. However, I'd regained enough of something to feel a sort of nostalgia in my interactions with Mell. And I thought perhaps, with enough time, I could go back to who I'd been 4 years prior. Shortly thereafter, threw out all that into the wind with a single utterance.
I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one.
I appeared exhausted that day, much more than usual. Sister's condition had begun to worsen again. One muttered word set off a spark in my mind. It sent me back in time, well beyond when I was taught humanity 4 years ago, my very origin. As the daughter of God. Blood had healing properties. And the instant I remembered that, there's only one course of action I could take. Without a moment's hesitation, I informed him that miracles did exist. I had been born a saint. That my blood had miraculous powers. After leaving the village of my birth, my power had only ever been misused. First by the Lord for sick banquets, by me letting it lay idle so long. Now was the time for me to correct that. As a kind-hearted young man who loved his sister, deserved his blessing more than them. Told him everything. At first, he was surprised. Never once did he accuse me of lying. Listened carefully and intently, taking in every word. When I was finished, he said he believed me. He said that he would entrust his sister's care to me. Mell's sister slept upon a simple bed. She was a sweet little girl. Looked like she would have been quite spirited if it not for her ailment. Both she and her brother had beautiful flaxen hair. It looked as if they had been yanked from a painting. Seeing them there, I wanted to do everything I could to help them, to ensure their happiness. And I knew I had the ability to do so. No longer would I be the one receiving others' charity. I could be the one giving it again. So I made a new cut of my mostly healed arm. The briefest of moments, a flash of him applying ointment appeared in my mind, and I quickly cast it off. The flaxen-haired girl showed signs of recovering as a result of my miracle. Joey came to my cottage, overjoyed to thank me. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like, for once, I'd actually saved someone's life. I had finally been able to use my gift to help someone truly good. After the miracle, though, he stopped referring to me as his friend. Understandably so. No one could think of themselves as equals with someone who performed miracles. Awe, fear, reverence were all feelings that came from the same place. Inability to think of me as human, experienced the world the same way he did. Saw me as normal. I'd always been fine with that. It was how it was supposed to be. Indifferent was what I was always wanted. In some way, it was what kept me going. It was seeing him put more and more distance between us. It shouldn't have bothered me in the slightest. I continued to offer his sister my blood, no matter how distant he grew. Eventually, he stopped inviting me on walks. That didn't matter. It would serve my duty to perform miracles regardless. I'd simply knock on my cottage door and say,
My sister's fallen ill again. Would you come perform another miracle?
I could hear the apprehension in his voice. No longer did he show me his gentle smile. No longer did we listen to the birds singing together. No longer was I the one being cold and distant. No longer did he say, "See you again," when we parted ways. I back in my village, everyone feared and revered me as a saint. It filled me with a childish sense of superiority. There is no superiority now. Only a prickling, softened shell of my heart. I was no longer the child I had once been. I had changed. Learned what warmth felt like. Memories of that time were vague and ethereal. The feelings they had created lived on deep within me. In time, it felt a warm familiarity around Mell. It only made me yearn for him to treat me that way again. I wanted to be able to open up to someone once more. Though I never said as much out loud. Gloomy day after gloomy day passed, and then I received a new visitor. I asked them their business from behind the door. They hesitated for a few moments before responding. My instincts told me that whoever this was wasn't the noble boy. So I waited, perplexed and slightly on edge, for them to say something. When they finally did, I was left aghast at what I had heard.
Are you the witch with the miracle blood?
Why did he sound like the man who slaughtered the slaves in the carriage, laughing all the while? What was he doing at my cottage? I thought he had wandered off somewhere, never to be seen again. I thought he was out of my life for good. Why did he call me a witch? How did he know my blood had powers? Had Mell told him? Or maybe his talkative little sister had gone running around, blabbing about it. Should have been clearer with them. Absolutely certain they knew to keep their mouths shut. Please leave. It took all my strength to get those words out without my voice shaking. I could hear the screams from 4 years ago echoing in my mind. I could see the limbs flying, the blood pooling at my feet. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it pulsing in my ears. Please stay away from my home. After all that time I'd spent forgetting about everything, closing myself off, finally finding peace. Why did this monster reminded me only of senseless violence and death to come back into my world? I never wanted to go through anything like that again.
I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little?
I have nothing to spare for a man like you. Blood is only for the sick and needy. But please, go away. Stay away from me. I'm begging you. Get away from this place. You're a murderer. I have nothing to do with you. But please, just go away.
As you say.
Is he gone? eyes. Like they're burning. Oh, Morgana. You have to be strong. You cannot let this get to you. Be strong. You have nothing to fear. Nothing to fear. No. Stop. Fight it back. I had sworn to never cry again. The moment fear released its grip on me, everything that had built up came pouring out in a hot stream. Tears soaked my face. Wiped and I wiped, and my hands came back wet. With each passing second, I felt myself reverting to an ordinary, helpless little girl. No. It's what I had always been. My whole life, I've just been putting on airs. In reality, I wasn't even strong enough to withstand a little fright. Even with the horde man gone, I couldn't rest easy. I couldn't be sure if he was gone for good. Maybe he was just waiting for a more opportune moment to target me again. The following day, I took a brief walk with the noble boy. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him about what had just happened. How much distance he was keeping between us. I doubted he'd be willing to do anything to help. 3 days and 3 nights, I shook in terror. Thinking, considering, speculating, wondering. Hardly getting a wink of sleep. I was too anxious to sit still. I paced in circles around the chair by the fireplace. Soon to be sure I'm safe. I'll go inside, or else I absolutely must. Not even just to get water from the lake. I'll be waiting in the shadows to take my life. I'm not safe here anymore. I shouldn't have said anything about my powers. They've only ever brought me trouble. Probably find somewhere else to live. But where? How far could I even get on my own? I'd be out there, waiting for me to open the door. I would need help. I'd be a fool. No one's going to help me. The boy barely even wants to talk to me anymore. All I wanted. A quiet life. Did he return? Calm yourself. He knocks harder than that. It's not him. Who's there?
It's me.
Sister needs more of my blood.
I'm not here about Nellie today. I'm sorry for being so distant lately.
What?
I want to talk things over.
finally reconsidered. If he can treat me like a friend again. Maybe I could ask him. I want to talk to you too. I opened the door without a second thought. Let my guard drop. It's in my mind, the flaxen-haired boy briefly took the place of the slave man from the brothel. The man who had saved me from a terrible lord offered me his hand, guided me into the light, and here he was again to set me free. Take me away from this place, take me somewhere new. He pulled me out of the darkest depths of despair. Here he was again, ready to offer me his hand. A glimmer of hope to cast away the shadows. So I reached out to take it. My arm went tumbling to the ground, hope following not far behind. My arm.
Swordsman?
Nothing personal. I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church. She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch with the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. So don't take it personally. You get to be the sacrifice. To keep her church from collapsing. To keep her world from collapsing. So don't take it personally. Cheers! A saint's blood and good fortune to all! You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin!
Morgana.
After cutting off my left arm, a strange-looking man stuffed me into a sack and tied me up and threw me over his shoulder and carried me away somewhere.
Try to sound more frantic.
God, this is such a wall of text.
We're as fast
Oh,
as
God.
possible. We can.
After cutting off my left arm, the strange-looking man stuffed me to a sack and tied me up, threw me over shoulder, and carried me away somewhere. And while he was walking, he muttered at me over his shoulder, explaining where we were going. Apparently a new church run by someone called the Saintress, and she was going to give my blood to the patrons at the church. I think it was some kind of miracle elixir. ADHD is acting up. God. But what was this nameless man nun doing calling herself a saintess when I was a real saint? Why did I have to be a witch sacrificed for her sake, if it didn't make any sense? And most of all, why was the Lord involved, and why did that vicious, cruel, horrible, miserable man to come back into my life? Why couldn't he just leave me alone? Was that really so hard? Why? He already had this way with me. He had his terrible banquets, his blood Sabbaths already. Why did he need with more of my blood? Hadn't he already had enough? Did he find out his real power, so he decided to come back for more? Is that it? He could have just called out the saintess instead of her. He didn't have to make me into a witch. Oh, it's because of my face, isn't it? He wanted a pretty face to put on his brand new church. An ugly, scarred face like mine. But that's all. She's just pretty. I can perform miracles, but I'm here with my arm cut off and stuffed into a bag. Even slaves are treated better than this. All I wanted was a quiet life, but now I have this power, so I just wanted to use it to help. That's all. Oh, Father, your trial is too great. I can't bear it any. Was it poor to spend my whole life suffering?
About time.
There's your witch.
Tell me you didn't harm her, dog. I smell blood.
You only instructed me not to kill her. Mistakes were made. Limbs were lost. I cleaned up all the blood I got on me. No one suspected anything. That you were able to immediately recognize it as the smell of blood says quite a bit, Lord. You have killed before, haven't you?
Enough yapping. She is alive. Yes.
Of course.
Oh, tears. Now that's a good girl. It simply wouldn't be the same if you cried and blumbered like a lowly slave or a whore. Dignified and saintly, that's what I need you to be. Welcome, witch. You'll be giving your blood to all my people now, not only me.
Is that...
Oh, do you remember me? What an honor, a truly splendid honor.
How could I ever forget? How could I ever forget? All the pain, humiliation you put me through. How could I ever forget the blood Sabbaths you so loved to hold? Haven't had enough, have you? Leaving scars on every inch of my body wasn't enough for you? You haven't had your fill of my blood?
I'm thrilled to know the great saint remembers the lavish parties I threw for her. I take it they left quite an impression then.
You're the man who bound me, cut me up, called me a witch, and then tried to kill me. I haven't forgotten you, even for a moment.
That's splendid to hear. I'm sure you tried so very hard to cast my memory aside. But you never could you? And you know what that means. That the scars I left all over you run deeper than anything you've ever experienced. Look at that face, so twisted and hideous. I bet you loathe me. That you'll never be able to forgive me.
I don't care how much my father preaches forgiveness. That's the one thing you'll never get from me. Despise you with all my soul. Revile you with every fiber of my being. Every scar you gave me. Give you a lifetime of hatred. Never. You will never have my forgiveness. This man, a lord. He destroyed me, mind and body. This man ruined my life.
I see. So I'm the one who ruined your life. But why should that concern me? Your words are as insignificant as the chirps of a dying robin. Scream and shout until your throat goes sore. It doesn't change anything. We lock the witch up and proceed as planned.
Father, God of heaven and earth, my life has become nothing. Shattered and empty.
Good day, Lord Barnier.
Not hungry. I need some time to rest, so don't bother me.
Yes, sir.
And make sure everyone knows they are to stay away from my room.
By your command, my lord.
Why? Why was she the lakeside witch? How could this happen? There must be something I can do. Some way to fix this. No, don't fool yourself, you damned buffoon. There's no fixing that! Her arm's been cut off! Her mind broken. If only that Far Eastern dog hadn't been such a damn idiot! Then she might actually be in proper shape. Fucking fuck! I'm the one who gave the order! The only one to blame for this is me! I can spend all goddamn day regretting it, but there's no taking back what's already been done! God damn it! What the hell am I supposed to do? What can I do? I could set her free. And a doctor, yes. Find a good doctor. There's no getting her back. Her arm back, but at least she could patch her up. This is all my fault. So I'll do right by her. Look after her myself. Make sure she's taken care of for the rest of her life. You out of your mind, Jacopo? Why would she ever want to stay with you? Ah, damn it. I can't even stay focused.
What is there to think about, boy? You already know what you must do.
Get out of here, spirit! When will you learn your damn lesson and just stay dead, damn it! The last thing I need is a pathetic ghost constantly sticking its nose into my business!
Strong words from the man who can't even keep his head in the presence of said pathetic ghost.
Gah!
The answer's plain as day, boy. You proceed exactly as planned. Make witches' blood into a miracle and distribute them in the church. You'll take in tithes, as well as win the people's favor for supporting their new beloved church. It's a fine scheme. I'm impressed you came up with it, boy.
Silence! That was before I knew she was the witch!
What does it matter?
The girls don't be dead soon, regardless. Process and growth, it always comes with a price. You need simply accept that the price has already been paid. Tell me, is the girl worth throwing the entire venture aside? Knowing you'll lose all the goodwill you made to gain from it and more.
Jeez. Morgana's... She's mine.
A child could tell you which has more value. You bear the weight of this entire land, boy. Don't try to cast that aside because you killed one little girl.
She isn't dead. She's still...
Surely you can't call that.
She's not.
She is, and you killed her.
I did not!
There is no turning back. Why are you so upset about this, boy? Countless slaves have perished at your command. You have the slumrats who tried to bite and slaughter. And only now you're concerned about another's life. Surely you're No matter how much you may have cared for the girl before, it's out of the question. You cannot have her. When a nobleman marries, it's for political purposes. Be it connections, resources, appearances, always something to get. Taking a nameless peasant girl will make you the laughing stock of the land. So lock her up and train her until there's nothing left.
Shut your goddamn mouth, accursed spirit! You don't have any idea what you're talking about. You don't know the first thing about how I feel about her. The things we've shared. Wait a minute. What's going on? How the hell do you know any of that?
Took you long enough, boy.
How did I not realize? You were never the kind of man.
To speak of progress and growth. That I wasn't.
What the hell? What are you?
I already told you. I am the curse, known as the Lord of the Land. Or if you need me to put it in simple terms for your simple mind, I am your sins.
You're out of your mind. I am not sick.
I'm the one who's out of his mind, boy. This is a world of madness and disease. But not of spirits. The throne drives all who sit on it to madness. Power or sanity, a man can only have one. And all the faster will his grasp on his mind slip when he has no one at his side to shield him from his enemies. I am not Jean-Francois Barnier. And there is no way for you to banish this spirit. Your mind is broken, on the verge of collapse. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
No. You're lying! My mind is not broken! I am perfectly sane. There's not a grain of madness in me.
Is this still me? Just go for it. I can't remember.
Tell me, Jacopo, is this the power you always sought?
Is this what you spent day and night fighting to achieve? What? How are you? I thought you wanted power in order to protect those you cared about most. But here you are, using that power to destroy their lives. Or is power the only thing you care about protecting anymore? Shut up. Is that what I took up the blade for all those years ago? Enough. You don't have any place criticizing me. You're just a stupid child with his head in the clouds, who thinks he can become some kind of hero! If you hadn't been so foolish, I wouldn't be in this place at all! You're right. We chose the wrong path. And there's no way for us to get back to the right one any longer. This wasn't what I had wanted at all. The future I had dreamed of. The outcome I had hoped for. But who did I even have to explain that to? And who would even understand if I tried? There were walls as high as the eye could see on both sides of this path. Forward was the only way I could go. I had killed my old friends and comrades. Lost everything along the way. But still I had marched on. Because that was all I could do. And now, power was the only thing that remained in my hands. So I'd make a despo of myself, bury all my feelings for her, and continue my march straight into hell. I had no other choice.